Hello, my name is Matthew, and I was just watching one of Steve Donoghue's videos from today, and he made an original book tag. It is the Penguin Books tag, and Penguin Classics are one of his favorite reprint publishing houses. He made an interesting collection of questions. I own quite a fair bit of Penguin Classics, so I thought it would do it. He tagged everybody, so I'll just go through the questions. Question number one, and I'm paraphrasing. Penguin Classics are the best. How many do you own? I counted 155. They're kind of scattered throughout all my bookshelves. I don't keep them all together. I adjusted the camera to show some on this side. Um, I also have quite a bit of Oxford World Classics, and I counted those too. Um, so I counted 138 Oxford World Classics and 155 Penguin Classics, so it was a close match, but Penguin won out. Question number two. Penguins evolved 70 million years ago. What is your history with Penguin Classics? And I would say lukewarm to begin with. I was never very fond of them. I remember being at the bookstore, maybe a little annoyed if it was the only option for a book that I was looking for. I didn't like. I didn't think they were attractive. I didn't like that they all look the same. They all have the famous black spine. Um, but more and more, as I collected them and as I read them and as I enjoyed them and found that they were very well done, they're well constructed, um, just entirely reliable, they're relatively affordable, and it grew on me through the years. It's a publishing house that really did win me over. Um, I had the same relationship with Oxford World Classics, um, the same thing that I just described. Um, they are really sturdy, hardy, um, faithful books that you can go to, and that black spine or that white spine, or with the modern library, that bronze spine, are markers of a good product. Let's see. Question number three. Uh, Penguins are the most famous flightless bird. What classic didn't do it for you? And a classic from antiquity would be Virgil's The Aeneid. Um, it just never hit me the same way that Homer's epics had, and maybe it's unfair to compare them. I don't know. Homer, I feel like, is um, an unfairly high mark for anyone to be matched up with, um, but they are kind of tied together, and um, Virgil just leaves me cold, whereas Homer just really warms me up, I guess. Um, More modern things, Howard's End by Ian Forster. I have friends that I really respect their opinion, and it's a book that has come highly recommended. And just fell flat for me. Maybe I'll go back to it at some point, but I wasn't impressed. And also, Henry James, I've read a handful of his novels, and he's a writer that it's evident, it's really easy to see um, that they're well done, but I didn't enjoy them. He's another writer that maybe as I get older, I'll be able to approach it in a different way, maybe. Question number 4. What is your favorite classic? And for me, that would be the Brothers Karamazov. It's a book that I've had to revisit several times, and it's been a good guide for me on how to appreciate a difficult book. The first time I read it, I was determined, and I just sat down and read it straight through, over the course of a week or two, or a couple weeks, or whatever, and I got nothing from it. The second time I read it was a hateful experience. This time I was assuring myself that I am confused. The second read through, and I'm still not really understanding it. It's taking a really long time to get to the plot. It has like a 400-page introduction until things start really happening, and things like that. I read it a third time, and I was swept away, and it was brilliant. I read it a fourth time, and it was almost like a movie playing through my head, and it was a totally different reading experience from any other book maybe that I had come to at that point. This is over the course of years, and what I learned from that book as a reader was really important to me. Things like how do you approach a difficult book, or a really famous book that has a lot of buzz around it, a book that confuses you, a book that you're supposed to like, things like that. Also, being able to recognize the difference between not enjoying a book and making the determination that, in my opinion, this is a bad book. And they're two very different things. And that book, the Karamazov brothers, helped me with that. Question number 5. Penguin began in 1946. What is your favorite from that year? And I buggered around all my shelves. I didn't check the internet or anything, looking for a book from 1946. And Steve Donoghue left a qualifier that it could just be the decade. So I'll show you the books that I found. The first one was Dr. Faustus by Thomas Mann, and let's see, what was this? I think 1947 came out. The Catcher in the Rye, which I think was just, I think maybe 1945. Yeah, 1945. So I think this is the closest one that we came to. Other Voices, Other Rooms by Truman Capote. 1948. And I found Consider the Oyster by M.F.K. Fisher, which was right around there too, I think. 1941. And I love all of these books for different reasons. the Consider the Oyster book, I think, is beautifully written. It's very elegant, as elegant as an oyster. Um, Truman Capote is just one of my favorite writers. His early work and his way of describing um, either a child's experience or the world through childlike eyes um, kind of makes me feel. It's a book that makes me feel nostalgic. Um, Salinger's really is one of my favorite writers. Catcher in the Rye is probably my least favorite work of his, but it's also the work that I've known the longest. So my relationship with this book has grown, and I'm still very fond of it. Um, Dr. Faustus, probably the greatest work, certainly of all the things that we just mentioned. It's impressive, um, intellectually stimulating and engaging in all those ways. Um, and I actually, now that I'm holding it, I read it years ago, and I'd like to. Um, this is a book that I would like to revisit. It's like a retelling of the Faust story from Goethe. It's a pianist. Anyway, it's good. Let's see. Question number 6. Name some books. Okay, I think this is the last question. Name some books you would like to be Penguin classics. And Steve Donoghue says that this is like we're in fantasy land, so anything that you want, that kind of thing. And some of the things, I mean, like for the Irish, and also I didn't check any of these things, so they could be available. But I would love a Penguin Classics of the complete plays of W.B. Yeats, the complete poems by W.B. Yeats, like nice, big, thick, black-spined books that had a great introduction and all the endnotes and had everything. There's other publishing houses that do it, and I understand why Penguin doesn't have it, but since this is a fantasy type question, it's something that same thing with Samuel Beckett. The complete plays of Samuel Beckett, his complete short stories of Samuel Beckett, his novels. At Swim Two Birds, maybe that is a classic, Penguin classic, but I haven't seen it. And as far as the French go, imagine the complete human comedy by Balzac. There's like 90 of these things. Novels. Have all of them. It's only a hand. I mean, I'd like to see all of them with those black spines. Proust, just for fun. The whole entire Remembrance of Things Past in one volume. Just that big. One spine down the middle. You can put it on your coffee table and it would be a showstopper. Alphonse Daudet, or Daudet, however you say it. One of my favorite little books is the Letters from My Windmill. And apparently he was a prolific writer in his day. And these novels just aren't available. And Penguin has one, so I guess I'd like more. The Goncourt brothers, these, French gossips that are running around, apparently they had a whole bunch of novels, and I've never seen them. And also, just while I was thinking about it, I don't think I've seen any Penguin classics of Thomas Mann or Salinger. And, I think Salinger's a great example because, perhaps with a different publisher, we might have gotten different results. He turned into a recluse for whatever reason. Apparently, he kept writing for the rest of his life, and now all these books are locked up in boxes somewhere. And I don't know, maybe Penguin Classics could have just gone over there and kicked him in the ass. Just publish it, get over yourself. Um, so in my fantasy land, an Empire Penguin would have knocked on Salinger's door and kicked him in the ass until he published his books. We'll end there. Just like what Steve Donoghue had said, I'll say anyone that would like to do it is tagged. Um, there's sort of that um, caveat that Steve mentioned is if you have Penguin Classics, you should do it. If you don't have any, of course. Well, anyway, so that's it. Thank you for watching, and leave a comment if you would like, and take care.